I swear, I didn't even look at that necklace. That gaudy $9,000 piece of jewelry wasn't even my taste. But none of that mattered the day my sister pointed her perfectly manicured finger at me and said I stole it. And just like that, 10 seconds of silence turned into an avalanche of accusations. Don't lie, Ryan. I left it on my dresser, and now it's gone. You were the only one home. I laughed, thinking she was joking. We weren't close, but she had never crossed that line before. But the way my mom turned from washing dishes and narrowed her eyes at me, I knew it wasn't a joke. Did you take it? She asked, already convinced. Just be honest for once. I looked at my dad. Nothing. Just a sigh and a shake of his head. So that's how we were playing it now. Guilt before truth. Verdict before defense. I stood in that kitchen, dumbfounded, as they told me to pack my things. No argument. No second chance. Just out. I didn't even try to fight it. I'd spent years doing everything I could to make up for not being the golden child. My sister Lauren always got the benefit of the doubt. The praise. The patience. Me? I was the fallback option. The background character. But what made it sting wasn't the accusation. It wasn't even being kicked out. It was the fact that I'd just paid her spring tuition that morning. She had no idea. No one did. 3 years ago, I landed a tech job with a fat salary and even fatter bonuses. I moved back home when Dad lost his job, and Mom's part-time bakery gig wasn't cutting it. I told them I'd contribute while I saved to buy a house. In reality, I was paying the mortgage, the utilities. I'd even snuck money into my parents' joint account to help with groceries. My sister? She thought her grants covered everything. I didn't do it for praise. I did it because I loved my family, because it felt right. But now, after being thrown out over a necklace I didn't even touch? Nope. I was done. I didn't pack much. Just a couple of bags, my laptop, and the backup hard drive where I kept every receipt and transfer confirmation. I didn't slam the door. I didn't even speak. I just walked out of my own home like a thief. The irony burned. That night, I checked into a modest extended stay suite. Nothing flashy, but clean, quiet, and private. Exactly what I needed. I sat on the edge of the bed and pulled up my banking app. Canceled the auto payment for the house mortgage. Paused the utilities I had on autopay. Deleted the calendar reminder to Venmo Lauren's college account. And just like that, the safety net was gone. Over the next few days, my phone buzzed nonstop. But not from them. From bills. From the electric company. From the mortgage lender. They were used to the magic of a full fridge and lights that stayed on without ever asking why. I was their invisible ATM. But now, that invisible hand had vanished. By the end of the week, the text finally came. Ryan, did you stop the mortgage payment? We're behind. I stared at the screen for a while, then replied with a single word. Me, yes. She didn't even ask why at first. Just sent a stream of panicked messages. How could you be so selfish? We raised you better than this. You think this is punishment for what Lauren said? So they knew now. That I was the one covering everything. That their precious daughter wasn't getting through school on smart budgeting or academic scholarships. They figured it out quick. It turns out her tuition hadn't gone through. The registrar emailed them. And that's when the cracks started to spread. By week 2, Dad called me. I didn't answer. He left a voicemail that was different. Look, maybe we overreacted. We can talk this out. She's under stress. That necklace was sentimental. But if you didn't take it, we'll figure it out. Please call us. Now they wanted to talk. But I didn't. Because while they were scrambling to pay bills and cover tuition, I was digging. Not into their finances, into the necklace. Something had been bugging me. It wasn't just the accusation. It was how specific Lauren had been. Like she had rehearsed it. And then it hit me. The necklace was insured. I checked her Instagram. Yep, she'd posted about it months ago. Thanks, Dad, for the early graduation gift. 2 hearts gemstone. #spoiled. #grateful. #blessed. A 24K gold necklace with a tiny embedded sapphire. Retail value? Around $9,000. But insured for how much? I didn't know yet. But I knew someone who might. A friend of mine, Bryce, worked in claims. I didn't even need to say much. She reported it stolen by you? He asked, stunned. And your name's on the household policy? Bro. He didn't finish the sentence. But I didn't need him to. I already knew what that meant. They hadn't just accused me. They'd filed a fraudulent claim using my name as the thief on their policy. I could have pressed charges right then and there. But I didn't. Not yet. Instead, I waited. Because I wanted them to bury themselves a little deeper. And oh boy, they did. 2 weeks later, I got another voicemail. This one from Lauren. Ryan, I need to talk to you. Things are bad. I didn't know it was you paying for everything, okay? I was angry and I messed up. But please, can we talk? She was crying. Part of me wanted to feel something. But I was just numb. I'd been numb since the moment they chose her word over mine. I didn't respond. But I did screenshot the voicemail transcript. And I saved it next to the policy documents Bryce had gotten for me, where her name was listed as the sole beneficiary of the claim. See, Lauren had claimed I stole the necklace and sold it. But guess what? 3 days after I left, a claim was processed, and she received a $10,000 payout, which meant one of two things. She found the necklace and sold it herself. She never lost it to begin with. Either way, I had her, and them, right where I wanted. You know the thing about lies? They always rot from the inside. They don't need to be exposed. They implode on their own. I was just giving it a little nudge. With Bryce's help, I got a copy of the insurance claim. It was even dumber than I expected. Filed under my parents' joint policy, listing stolen by sibling Ryan, in Lauren's own words, complete with a police incident number. I hadn't been arrested. Hadn't even been contacted. That meant they never actually filed a report. They just wrote it down to push the claim through. And if there's one thing insurance companies hate more than anything else, it's fraud. So I made a call. Not to the police. Not yet. To the insurance company. I told them, calmly, that I was the accused party listed in a theft claim. I hadn't been contacted by police. I had proof the item may never have been stolen at all, and that I could provide a sworn statement, along with evidence of motive. It was like dropping a lit match into a puddle of gasoline. Within 3 hours, they had a fraud investigator calling me back, asking for receipts, screenshots, and call logs. I sent everything. I told them how I'd been paying household bills, how I'd been kicked out, and how Lauren had already received the payout. Then I told them something they didn't know. I suspected she still had the necklace. That was the part that got them moving fast. See, claiming something was stolen for the payout is one thing, but keeping the item afterward? That's insurance fraud with criminal penalties. So the investigator looped in the police. And that's when I set the trap. It started with a text. Me, to Lauren, you really want to talk? Fine. Meet me at Beechwood Cafe at 3. Alone. She responded in less than a minute. Yes. Thank you. I'll be there. I chose the cafe for one reason. It was next door to the precinct. I didn't want drama. Just witnesses. She showed up in oversized sunglasses and her favorite boots. The ones Mom always said made her look like money. She looked nervous. Good. I stayed calm. Stone-faced. Why did you lie? I asked, without even saying hello. I didn't think they'd take it that far, she mumbled. I just wanted you to admit it. I thought you did it. You filed a claim. Named me. Took 10 grand. Where's the necklace, Lauren? Her eyes flicked away. Her mouth opened, then closed. Gone. Gone where? She hesitated. I pawned it. I needed the money. I thought you'd make it right. You always do. There it was. That last sentence. That final thread of delusion. That twisted belief that I'd always fix things. I leaned back in my chair and let the silence simmer. You pawned it after accusing me of stealing it, I said flatly. Do you realize what that means? She looked like she did. Finally. I didn't yell. Didn't threaten. Just stood, picked up my phone, and walked out. 10 minutes later, the detective met me on the sidewalk with a nod. We're pulling pawn records today. Thank you, Mr. Torres. We'll be in touch. The fallout came fast. Within 3 days, the insurance company froze the payout. Lauren's bank account was flagged. A subpoena was issued for the pawn shop's transaction history. And then it happened. The police knocked on my parents' door. They didn't arrest her. Not yet. But they handed her a formal notice to appear. Fraud investigation. Misuse of insurance claim. Filing a false statement. My mom called me that night. Sobbing. Ryan, she's facing charges. What have you done? What I should have done the moment you all threw me out like trash. She made a mistake. You didn't have to destroy her. I nearly laughed. She destroyed herself. I just stepped out of the way. Meanwhile, I got a message from someone unexpected. Dad, I don't blame you. You warned us. It was the only message I got from him. Short, honest, and 1,000,000 times more than I expected. It didn't make up for what they did, but it mattered. The final straw came when the mortgage company called my dad directly. He was listed on the house as a co-owner, but the payments had stopped cold. For the first time in decades, he was the one being asked how to pay. My parents had lived under the illusion that I was just contributing. They never asked how the lights stayed on, how groceries kept appearing. They never once noticed that the last 3 family vacations were booked under my rewards account. And now? They were looking at foreclosure if the back payments didn't clear in 30 days. Lauren's tuition got canceled. Her university locked her student portal. No more classes. No more dorm access. She went from spoiled and smug to broke and legally cornered. All because she couldn't tell the truth. I wasn't done, though. Not yet. Because there was still one more piece of this game I needed to play. And it involved walking back into that house one last time. Walking back into that house felt like stepping onto the stage of a play I never auditioned for, but everyone expected me to perform. My mom opened the door like she'd seen a ghost. "Ryan, thank you for coming." I said nothing. Just stepped in and looked around. Same furniture. Same carpet. But the energy? Completely different. The house felt brittle. Like even the walls were trying to apologize. Lauren was already in the living room, arms folded, face pale. My dad was in the corner with a legal pad and a grim expression. He looked like he was taking minutes at a funeral. "Why did you ask me here?" I finally asked. "We need to talk," my mom said. "All of us." I turned to Lauren. "Then let's talk. Start with the necklace." She flinched. "I already told you." I pawned it. After saying I stole it. After filing a claim in my name. After taking 10 grand. "I didn't think it would get this bad," she shouted. "You mean, you didn't think I'd fight back?" That shut her up. Mom stepped between us. "You're right to be angry. But this doesn't help anything. We're a family. Are we?" I asked. Because I don't recall families kicking their son out without evidence. Or letting their daughter steal and lie and commit fraud in his name. "We thought you did it," my dad said, voice low. "It was on her dresser, and you were home. What were we supposed to think?" "You were supposed to ask me," I snapped. "You were supposed to believe in my character. But you believed in hers, the one who's been lying to you since high school. The one who failed freshman year and told you it was a professor conspiracy. The one who couldn't even keep a part-time job but somehow always had new shoes." Lauren's eyes welled up. "Good." Dad rubbed his forehead. "We can't pay the mortgage. Not my problem anymore." Mom raised her hands. "We're not asking for money. We're asking for help." "You're asking for mercy," I corrected. "And I already gave you that for years. I paid everything. Quietly. I did it because I loved this family. And the moment it got inconvenient, you kicked me out like a dog." There was a heavy silence. Mom broke it with a whimper. "We made a mistake." "No," I said. "You made a choice." That's when Lauren exploded. "Oh my God, Ryan. Get over yourself." I said I was sorry. And I said you filed a fraudulent claim and put my name on a police report. That's not sorry material. That's felony material. She went quiet again. "I've already given a statement to the investigator," I continued. "They're pulling the pawnshop footage. If you're lucky, you'll get a slap on the wrist. If not, well, guess you'll finally get some real-world experience." "You'd really let me go to jail?" I looked her dead in the eyes. "I'm not letting anything happen to you. I'm just not stopping it." After a long silence, my dad finally said, "What do you want?" I turned to him. "Nothing. I wanted the truth. Now I've got it. And so do you. But the house isn't mine anymore. And it hasn't been for a while. Your name's still." "And the utilities?" I interrupted. "The tuition payments? The private student loans I co-signed without telling you because your credit was trash?" I pulled out a folder. Inside was a printout of every account I'd opened to cover this family's lies. I tossed it onto the coffee table like a mic drop. Dad flipped through it and turned white. "You co-signed for her?" "Yup, $32,000 in total." Lauren gasped. "You what?" I nodded. "See, I knew you'd screw it up. So I built a failsafe. I've already frozen those accounts and removed myself. You'll start getting notices soon. Hope your credit's good enough for a payment plan." She stood up, livid. "You can't just walk away." I smiled. "Watch me." I walked out of that house for the last time. No shouting. No slamming doors. Just the sound of 3 people realizing the gravity of their own decisions. Lauren is now under active investigation. She's withdrawn from school. My parents are trying to sell the house, but with the missed mortgage payments and interest racking up, they'll be lucky to break even. I didn't burn the bridge. I just let it collapse behind me. But I wasn't done yet. Because Lauren's not just a liar. She's a liar with a paper trail. And I was going to let everyone see it. There's a certain power in silence. But sometimes, You need to speak up just loud enough for the whole damn world to hear. So I told my story. Not the embellished version. Not the petty one. Just the truth. I wrote a post online. One of those long, cathartic confessionals you see go viral on Reddit. No names. No locations. Just the cold, measured breakdown of how my sister falsely accused me of stealing her necklace, how my parents believed her, how they kicked me out, and how I had secretly been paying for the very roof they threw me out from under. I included screenshots, sanitized of any personal info, but showing the transactions, the tuition receipts, the mortgage autopay, the text where Lauren admitted pawning the necklace after accusing me. It was clinical, brutal, honest, and it exploded. Tens of thousands of upvotes. People demanding justice. Screenshots of the post were flying across every platform. Then came the calls. My aunt, the one who never liked my mom's favoritism, left me a message. I always knew something was off. Lauren always got away with everything. But this is a new low. I'm proud of you for standing up. My cousin from Arizona. Dude, the post. Everyone's seen it. Is it really about your sister? Friends I hadn't heard from in years. Bro, I knew you were paying their bills. I said it for years. I feel vindicated just reading that. Even Dad's brother, the one who rarely speaks to our side of the family, sent a 3-word text. Finally the truth. But not everyone took it well. My mom called me 6 times in one morning. I let them go to voicemail. By the 7th, she left a message full of venom and desperation. How dare you air our dirty laundry? You embarrassed your family. You've ruined your sister's future. I played it back twice. Not once did she say sorry. Not once did she say, we were wrong. Just more blame. More shame. The same old pattern. But now, the world could see it too. The next bombshell didn't come from me. It came from the university. A student-run campus account reposted part of my story with a bold headline. Tuition fraud? Local student under fire for alleged false insurance claim and exploiting sibling. Lauren's face wasn't public, but anyone who knew her knew. It wasn't hard to connect the dots. By the end of that week, she deleted every social media account she had. Gone. Vanished. Digital ghost. And yet, the damage had already been done. One of her old high school friends reached out to me. I hadn't spoken to her since I was 18. She wrote, I know she tormented you back then. I'm sorry we didn't believe you, but I do now. It wasn't much, but it was everything. Meanwhile, the university finally made it official. Lauren was expelled. The formal reason? Failure to disclose fraudulent financial activity tied to her tuition accounts. They used big, flowery language, but I knew what it meant. They found out about the pawn shop. About the claim. About the fake police report. She was done. She tried to appeal. Denied. My parents? Still trying to act like this was salvageable. They sent a joint email. Maybe it's time we all sat down and talked as a family. Lauren has suffered enough. Suffered? She didn't suffer when she pointed at me and said I was a thief. She didn't suffer when she took that 10 grand payout and spent it on shoes and sushi. She suffered because she got caught. So I didn't respond. Instead, I kept living. I leased a condo with a view. Nothing flashy, but comfortable. Free of drama. Free of hidden strings. I even started donating. To a scholarship fund. Anonymously. The name on the donation? In honor of the siblings who were never believed. I started sleeping better. I started laughing again. I stopped looking over my shoulder, wondering if doing the right thing would ever matter. Because now I knew it did. And the best part? I didn't have to lift a finger to destroy Lauren. She did it all herself. I just stepped out of her way. It started with a knock on my door. Not a text. Not an email. Not a letter. A knock. I almost didn't answer. But curiosity has a voice louder than common sense sometimes. It was Lauren. No makeup. Hair tied back. No smug smirk. No designer bag dangling off her arm. She looked small, fragile in a way I didn't think was possible. Her hands were shaking and her eyes were rimmed red. Ryan, she said, voice barely above a whisper. Please. I didn't move. I just want 5 minutes, she said. You can shut the door after that. Just, please. I stepped back. Not out of sympathy. Not even pity. Just closure. She walked in like a ghost. Looked around my condo like she couldn't believe I had built something without the family. She sat down without asking. Good. That meant she knew she didn't belong here. And then she spoke. I ruined everything, she said. You were right. About all of it. I didn't respond. I lied because I thought I could control the outcome. I thought you'd stay quiet. I thought, you'd forgive me like you always did. Still, I said nothing. Mom and Dad are mad at me now. Not because of what I did, but because you finally walked away. It's like, without you, everything started falling apart. The bills, the tension, the quiet. It's all louder now. Her voice cracked. They dawned ready to be parents without you patching the roof. She looked up at me with a face I barely recognized. I'm sorry. I let the words hang there. I'm sorry I stole the necklace. I'm sorry I blamed you. I'm sorry I used your money and pretended I didn't need it. I'm sorry I made you the villain in a story where I was the thief. Finally, I sat down across from her. You want forgiveness? I asked. She nodded. I don't have it to give, I said flatly. Because the person you did that to doesn't exist anymore. Tears slid down her cheeks. She didn't even wipe them. I didn't come here to beg, she said. I need you to know that I hate who I was. I leaned forward, elbows on knees. And what about who you are now? I asked. She blinked, confused. You got caught. You lost the money, the school, the fake little Instagram life. So what's changed? Because I don't see growth. I see a mess looking for someone else to clean it up. She looked down, silent. You came to the person you broke, hoping he'd be your healer, I continued. But that version of me died the night I packed my bags. I'm not your savior, Lauren. I'm not your secret wallet. I'm not your scapegoat. I'm just done. She stood slowly, nodded, and walked to the door. But before she left, she looked back. I don't expect you to believe me, but I am sorry. And I hope, someday, you can forgive me, even if I don't deserve it. And then she was gone. That night, I stared at the ceiling in bed, wondering if I felt peace. Not quite, but I felt power. Not the kind that dominates or controls. The kind that finally lets go. I didn't need revenge anymore. I didn't need vindication. Because I had something better. Freedom. From their expectations. From their guilt trips. From their rewriting of history. I was finally my own person. And you know what? That's worth more than any necklace.